Hey, there's Sammy33, and we're gonna do a checkup on Western Michigan, life in the NDL. So season 29, I took them over, as I mentioned a couple of times in the recaps. I did not play the games against Sam Houston and Marshall. The previous coach didn't put in the stats for those games, so at least just like I'm really anal about stats. I don't know why. I've always been that way. If you guys watch my baseball streams, you totally understand. I'm really anal about the stats that I earn being the stats that I earn, so at least we don't have that. But just going to do a quick check and kind of see what's going on. So, we've played 3 games. I've lost to Army, I've lost to Ball State, I've beat Akron. So, I walked into a 1-1 situation. Team is now 2-3, 1-1 in conference play. Currently, we're going to get this game with North Texas in later this week. Probably Wednesday. Maybe. We'll see. But we'll get that game in. No worries there. That's from a previous block because I never really mentioned this on stream. The season is open. Like once the block is open for the remainder of the season. Obviously, it's in your best interest to play the games as they become available. You don't want to procrastinate and wait till the end of the season trying to get them all in. So we'll get that game in. Currently, Buffalo, Trendon's somewhere, so we'll eventually get that game in. But when the next block opens up, you have weeks 9 and 10, we'll get that Kent State game open and like really get entrenched in conference play. One more out of conference game, and then it'll be conference play from here on out. The bottom, that last block is going to be hell. You got Ank. I don't think I've ever played him before. I don't remember if I've played T Wade, but those are both rival games. Victory Cannon in one, Michigan MAC Trophy in the other. Really important because they might dictate if I'm able to have enough points to keep this team or not. I won't. Really, just to dictate if I'm fired or if I'll be going into draft day one or day two. We'll see. And so far in the MAC, for what we have, Ball State rolling 6-0. Hurts even more because I was so close to being able to pull off a win against him. You've got Bowling Green and Ohio. They are both undefeated. I do not play Ohio. I do play Bowling Green. So that is important. These games are just important in general. So we'll see how things are going. I know I already have a loss to Ball State. The conference championship, there are no divisions in the MAC, if I remember correctly, with the new alignment. So it is just the top 2 teams would play in a conference championship game. Already sitting at 1 loss. I'm sitting right here. Can't really afford another one. And if I did, it'd have to be to someone that isn't going to be in the running for that. But that's a whole different conversation. Not even worried about that. The goal at hand is just trying to win. You see Toledo ranked number 22, so that's pretty cool to see someone in the conference ranked. Nice to see someone else having success, even obviously if it means that they may be in the way and for what we hope to achieve for our season goals. 2-3, not bad. Looking at statistics, we'll take a brief look here. Offense, 7th in conference play, or in the conference, 74th here. So this is total points. It's not point per game. These are all just raw numbers. So these are going to look a little bit different because of that. Kick returns, we are one of few teams that has had real great successful kick returns, unfortunately, against us as well too. So you see 9th there. Just really want to be in the top half in a lot of these statistics. First downs. One thing that I mentioned to David during stream, I hate that I'm so high here. So we're 36 in first downs, but only 74th in points. That probably means that you're driving the ball down the field, but you can't finish drives. So we have to work on that. Running attack, 94th. In part, getting behind against Army did not help. So we'd like to see some improvements there. Passing, 51st. Kind of a risky one because if you're passing a lot, you're also really prone to throwing interceptions. And I'll admit, video game me is definitely Brett Favre. I will throw the ball wherever I want. If it gets picked off, I just deal with it. So probably be better to be able to run better to limit the pass attempts and also to be able to frame the pass attempts the way you want. It's different when you have someone sitting in zone because they know all you can do is pass versus and just literally have their entire defensive playbook open versus they're blitzing to get to you to try to stop the pass. They're blitzing to try to get in the backfield to stop the run. Thus, it makes your reads easier in the passing game, however you want to look at it. So we need to improve our rushing attack for sure. And then total yards were 39th. So that's adding in the special teams yardage. So yeah, how things go. But definitely would like to at least be top half in the conference in those metrics, and then in the NDL overall top half as well. Defensively, biggest work is needed here. Points. First of all, we're being outscored. Clearly, we have a losing record, so that's probably not a surprise. 76, got to get better. And the bottom third in conference, or just on the edge there, ninth would be the bottom third, but we're pretty close. Got to improve there. Kick returns, we have to improve. Our kick coverage has been pretty awful. First downs, we've been good there, but therein lies the problem. We have the inverse effect. Here, we're great at keeping teams from getting first downs. Problem is, we can't stop them from scoring because you see we're 76th in points and 108th in yards, which means we're giving up a lot of big play scores. Gotta reel that in. I'd rather the first down metric be lower. Bend but don't break. We are breaking quite often. We are just trying to plug leaks and then we find a hole somewhere else for a touchdown. So really need to get the defensive side of the ball figured out. Not sure how I will do that, but we'll work on it. The passing, 49th. I mean, that's not terrible. Rushing, 77th. Army, probably a little bit of an outlier because of how well they run the ball. And this, you're not going to see many teams that run the ball like that. So I think that'll be a regression to the mean. At least I hope so. So offensively, goal. First downs need to turn into points because we're getting a ton of first downs, but we need to actually score points. And then defensively, great. We're not giving up first downs. We're actually a pretty solid team on third down from what I've seen so far. But we give up a lot of big plays. So we have to limit the big plays on the defensive side of the ball. Can we do it? We'll see. And then lastly, some player stats. So our quarterback, Hayden Wolf, see 5 TDs, 6 interceptions. Remember, 2 games were played before, but all of the player stats are mine. So 67% completion percentage, 5 to 6 for TD INT. Not gonna lie, that's probably me in a nutshell. I think I have one All-American quarterback in my entire time in the NDL. That's Zach Lee, and that was the year that I went 12-1. Shocker. I actually had a great TD interception ratio in 1 game. That's not me. We usually struggle to win because I'm going to throw interceptions. Like I said, I'm a Brett Favre guy at heart in video games. I see someone covered and just say, throw it anyway. Buckley, 5 TDs on the ground. You see 257 yards, averaging over 5 yards carry like that. Breaking some tackles. We haven't had like the big run, but we've had a lot of solid runs. So it would be nice to see if we could get a couple of, big, a 40-yard run, a 60-yard touchdown, something like that. Just something to generate points. Consistently able to run the ball well. Would just love to see it turn into points or, those big runs. Receiving. Buckley, leading the team in receptions. Haley down near the bottom. It's not a surprise to see a running back lead the league or lead a team in receptions in the league because some plays are designed to go to the running back, a screen. There's certain other plays, maybe an angle route or an out route where it's a primary read, but a lot of times it's just a check down. You don't want to force the ball somewhere else, and then it ends up like, hey, we just got to check it down. So not surprised there. He's got 174 yards. You see that leads the team in yardage. Womack, our playmaker, 7 for 169. He's got 3 touchdowns. So he's been pretty solid. Only 1 drop for him. Tight end being solid as well. We don't have a lot of guys that are doing great things in terms of yardage, the big plays, but it's a work in progress. We'll see what we can do. Mortimer has been our guy in the slot. He's been pretty productive. Trying to find ways to find him down the field as opposed to just stuff underneath. Is trying to stretch and get more, work our way more into the intermediate game with him. Been able to do it with some of the other players, but just haven't been able to find a way to push his routes up a little bit farther to give him space to work. Those are work in progress. Offense in general is a work in progress. Offensive line, see a couple of guys laying the wood here. A lot of pancakes, so the O-line doing pretty well. Mac play going forward, these numbers should boost up because we're not playing. I mean, my schedule in general is not like I'm not playing a super power conference team, but still, Mac play, this is the best rated team in the conference. I wouldn't be surprised to see more pancakes. I do like that only one sack's been allowed. So, quarterback hasn't been hit throwing the ball, a hit interception. Been a pretty decent job of trying to protect him. But we just have to stay on schedule on the offensive side, in terms of, second and reasonable, third and short. Defensively, issues, but we're trying to work through them. So a lot of guys with tackles, you see the safeties with assists, a lot of assists in the secondary. That's not necessarily a good thing because when you're getting picked apart defensively, that means that they are probably helping tackle someone that's already picked up big yardage. So work in progress. Tackles for loss. You see a couple of linemen up there with that. Halleck bringing him up in the box, blitzing a little bit more. I don't usually blitz a lot of safeties, but I've been finding that has been something helpful. Doing that a bit more than I normally do. Sacks is definitely something that has to change, though. We are not really getting pressure on the quarterback. We've been able to do somewhat in the option game, but we need to see more production in terms of sacks. Gotta get those splash plays on defense. It's not like we're getting a bunch of turnovers, so we're gonna have to make that happen. The interceptions, we got 2. I don't know why it has 3 TDs, but okay. No defensive scores. We have 3 forced fumbles. We've recovered 2, so we'll take that 2 out of 3. That's a great ratio to have. That's definitely not going to stay the case. Haley's return to kickoff. Punt return is incorrect. I don't know why it has that doubled up option to check that. Punts, not too worried about that. And then kicks, 1 for 2. That is definitely not, so I'll have to check that again. See, that's why I always have to check the stats. And pretty much that's it. So we'll have to figure out what we can do on the offensive side to improve turning drives into points. And then defensively, we're going to have to make some adjustments to try to limit those big play scores. Not even so much limiting the big plays, but limiting the big play touchdowns. That has been a big deal breaker for us in some of the games that we've had. Having to work so hard to get down the field, turn it over, don't give up, or don't get any points, and then it turns into a 70-yard touchdown, an 85-yard touchdown, a 62-yard touchdown. You can't have those things happen. So we need to get more consistent on both sides of the ball, and we'll see if we can do that going forward.